My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. God's will for me is perfect happiness. My joy must be complete to let His plan be understood. Be understood by those to whom He sends to me. They will see their function in my happy laugh. I am indeed essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part and your part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Well, thank you all so much for coming to join me and studying Lesson 100 in A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles this year. And I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks here for Lesson 100 for Thursday, April the 10th of 2025. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Just as God's Son completes His Father, so your part in it completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. Our function shared by one function shared by separate minds unites them in one purpose, for each one of them is equally essential to them all. God's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose to go against His will? The part that He has saved for you to take in working out His plan is given you that you might be restored to what He wills. This part is as essential to His plan as to your happiness. Your joy must be complete to let His plan be understood by those whom He sends you. They will see their function in your shining face and hear God calling to them in your happy laugh. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Without your joy, His joy is incomplete. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved. While you are sad, the light that God Himself appointed as the means to save the world is dim and lusterless, and no one laughs, because all laughter can but echo yours. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Just as your light increases every light that shines in heaven, so your joy on earth calls to all minds that let their sorrows go and take their place beside you in God's plan. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. They are the proof that God wills perfect happiness for all who will accept their Father's gifts as theirs. We will not let ourselves be sad today, for if we do, we fail to take the part that is essential to God's plan, as well as to our vision. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part instead of what has been assigned to you by God, which is happiness. Thus do you fail to show the world how great the happiness He wills for you, and so you do not recognize that it is yours. Today we will attempt to understand joy as our function here. Wow, catch that. Today we will attempt to understand that joy is our function here. Is that what you've been realizing, that your function is joy? Happiness? If you are sad, your part is unfulfilled, and all the world is thus deprived of joy along with you. God asks you to be happy, so the world can see how much He loves His Son, and wills no sorrow rises to abate His joy. No fear besets Him to disturb His peace. You are God's messenger today. You bring His happiness to all you look upon, His peace to everyone who looks on you and sees His message in your happy face. We will prepare ourselves for this today in our 5-minute practice periods by feeling happiness arise in us according to our Father's will and ours. Begin the exercises with the thought today's idea contains, then realize your part is to be happy. Only this is asked of you, or anyone who wants to take his place among God's messengers. Think what this means. You have indeed been wrong in your belief that sacrifice is asked. You but receive according to God's plan and never lose or sacrifice or die. Now let us try to find that joy that proves to us that all the world God wills for us. Let's read that again. Now let us try to find that joy that proves to us and all the world God's will for us. That sounds a little more like intelligible. It is our function that you find this joy for yourself and all the world. It is your function that you find it here and that you find it now. Don't delay your happiness. For this you came. Let this one be the day that you succeed. Look deep within you, undismayed by all the little thoughts and foolish goals you pass as you ascend to meet the Christ in you. He will be there, and you can reach Him now. What could you rather look upon in place of Him who waits that you may look on Him? What little thought has power to hold you back? What foolish goal can keep you from success when He who calls to you is God Himself? He will be there. You are essential to His plan. You are His messenger today, and you must find what He would have you give. Do not forget the idea for today between your hourly practice periods. It is yourself who calls to you today, and it is Him you answer. Every time you tell yourself you are essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. Okay, He raised the bar just a little bit, or He reminded us of something that He'd like us to do. And that's not just your 5-minute practice periods, but also to keep the idea alive in your mind between those hourly 5-minute practice periods. And if you can't take 5 minutes, at least take a moment to say, my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Okay, well, let's go back and take a look in our text reading. And we're in chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, Roman numeral 3, the investment in reality. The investment in reality. And thank you so much for studying this with me. I appreciate it. If you guys want to send me an email, be sure to put Course in Miracles class, ACIM class, and I'll read those. Or I'll try to. I'm not as really organized at my desk as I'd like to be, but I do try to make it an effort to look those. Okay, let's see. The investment in reality. I once asked you to sell all you have and give to the poor and follow me. And that was to the rich young ruler. It's recorded in Matthew, where Jesus told him to sell all that you have and come follow me. That was in Matthew chapter 19, verse 21. And this is what I meant. If you have no investment in anything in this world, you can teach the poor where their treasure is. The poor are merely those who have invested wrongly, and they are poor indeed. Because they are in need, it is given you to help them, since you are among them. Consider how perfectly your lesson would be learned if you were unwilling to share their poverty. For poverty is lack, and there is but one lack, since there is but one need. You need to realize your oneness with love, with God, with each other. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's our one need, to realize that joy is our part, and that we can have joy from everyone once we learn to practice forgiveness, let go of the unreal, so we can see what's always there. Our one need. Paragraph 2. So suppose a brother insists on having you do something you think you do not want to do. His very insistence should tell you that he believes salvation lies in it. If you insist on refusing and experience a quick response of opposition, you're believing that your salvation lies in not doing it. You're then making the same mistake he is, and are making his error real to both of you. Insistence means investment, and what you invest in is always related to your notion of salvation, or your notion of what will bring you satisfaction or happiness or peace of mind. It's your insistence means investment, and what you invest in is always related to your notion of salvation. The question is always twofold. First, what is to be saved? And second, how can it be saved? Paragraph 3. Whenever you become angry with a brother, for whatever reason, you're believing that the ego is to be saved, and to be saved by attack. Wow. If he attacks, you are agreeing with this belief, and if you attack, you're reinforcing it. Remember that those who attack are poor. Their poverty asks for gifts, not for further impoverishment. You who could help them are surely acting destructively if you accept their poverty as yours. By attacking back, they say something snide or upsetting, and you defend yourself, and that's the ego doing that. Their poverty asks for gifts, not further impoverishment. You who could help them are surely acting destructively if you accept their poverty as yours. If you had not invested as they had, it would never occur to you if you had not invested as they had, it would never occur to you to overlook their need. Well, we don't want to overlook their need. We want to give them what they're asking for, a little love. Maybe it's in the form of anger, but it's an appeal for love, an appeal for help. They need a gift from you that you can give them in your invulnerability. Paragraph 4, recognize what does not matter. And if your brothers ask you for something outrageous, in quotes, do it, because it does not matter. Refuse, and your opposition establishes that it does matter to you. It is only you, therefore, who have made the request outrageous, and every request of a brother is for you. Why would you insist in denying him? For to do so is to deny yourself and impoverish both. He is asking for salvation as you are. Poverty is of the ego and never of God. No outrageous request can be made of one who recognizes what is valuable and wants to accept nothing else. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. This is the only thing that can be saved, and the only way to save it. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. This is the only thing that can be saved, and the only way to save it. Any response other than love arises from a confusion about the what and the how of salvation, and this is the only answer. Never lose sight of this, and never allow yourself to believe, even for an instant, that there is another way, for you will surely place yourself among the poor who do not understand that they dwell in abundance and that salvation has come. Paragraph 6. To identify with the ego is to attack yourself and make yourself poor. That is why everyone who identifies with the ego feels deprived. What he experiences then is depression or anger, because what he did was to exchange self-love for self-hate, making him afraid of himself. He does not realize this. Even if he is fully aware of anxiety, he does not perceive its source as his own ego identification. And he always tries to handle it by making some sort of insane arrangement with the world. He always perceives this world as outside himself, for this is crucial to his adjustment. He does not realize that he makes this world, for there is no world outside of him. 7. If only the loving thoughts of God, Son, are the world's reality, the real world must be in his mind. His insane thoughts, too, must be in his mind, but an internal conflict of this magnitude he cannot tolerate. A split mind is endangered, and the recognition that it encompasses completely opposed thoughts within itself is intolerable. Therefore, the mind projects the split, not the reality. Everything you perceive as the outside world is merely your attempt to maintain your ego identification. Do we need to think of that again? Everything you perceive as the outside world is merely your attempt to maintain your ego identification. For everyone believes that identification is salvation. Yet consider what has happened, for your thoughts do have consequences to the thinker. You have become at odds with the world as you perceive it because you think it is antagonistic to you. This is a necessary consequence of what you have done. You have projected outward what is antagonistic to what is inward, and therefore you would have to perceive it this way. That is why you must realize that your hatred is in your mind and not outside it before you can get rid of it, and why you must get rid of it before you can perceive the world as it really is. Now, we certainly don't need attack and anger or hatred. Paragraph 8. I said before that God so loved the world that he gave it to his only begotten Son. And of course, he said that in chapter 2 of our text and section 7. And of course, he's based all that on the Bible verse John 3:16. I said before that God so loved the world that he gave it to his only begotten Son. God does love the real world, and those who perceive its reality cannot see the world of death, for death is not of the real world in which everything reflects the eternal. God gave you the real world in exchange for the one you made out of your split mind, and which is the symbol of death. For if you could really separate yourself from the mind of God, you would die. Paragraph 9. The world you perceive is a world of separation. Perhaps you are willing to accept even death to deny your Father. Yet he would not have it so, and so it is not so. You can't die and get away from God. You still cannot will against him, and that is why you have no control over the world you made. It is not a world of will because it is governed by the desire to be unlike God, and this desire is not will. The world you made is therefore totally chaotic, governed by arbitrary and senseless laws, and without meaning of any kind. For it is made out of what you do not want, projected from your mind because you are afraid of it. Yet this world is only in the mind of its maker, along with his real salvation. Do not believe it is outside of yourself, for only by recognizing where it is will you gain control over it. For you do have control over your mind, since the mind is the mechanism of decision. We have control over our minds because we have control over the mechanism of decision. What a good definition of mind. And the last paragraph, 10. If you will recognize that all the attack you perceive is in your own mind and nowhere else, you will at last have placed its source, and where it begins it must end. For in this same place also lies salvation. The altar of God where Christ abideth is there. You have defiled the altar, but not the world. Yet Christ has placed the atonement on the altar for you. Bring your perceptions of the world to this altar, for it is the altar to truth. There you will see your vision changed, and there you will learn to see truly. From this place where God and His Son dwell in peace, and where you are welcome, you will look out in peace and behold the world truly. Yet to find the place, you must relinquish your investment in the world as you project it, allowing the Holy Spirit to extend the real world to you from the altar of God. So can we do that? Can we just kind of withdraw our thoughts? That's how lesson 1 begins. Nothing I see means anything. If we could really do that and let the Holy Spirit show us what to think and see without our judgment, but with the Holy Spirit's influence, we would see a world of beauty. We'd use forgiveness to maintain it. Okay, let's see what's going on. What's going on around the world today, and be sure to keep with you what? My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Okay, Lent continues, and I'm finding that Mahavir Jayanta, Lord Mahavir, who is the 24th Tirthankara of the Jains. Today is his birthday. Let's see. ASPCA, American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Day. Hug Your Dog Day. Take Action for Libraries Day. Celebrate Teen Literature Day. And Encourage Young Writers Day. Global Work from Home Day. Farm Animals Day. I've got a bunch. I walk down into the field, pasture where the horses, and my turkeys and ducks, and as a matter of fact, you probably see them here in a minute. It looks like the ducks are coming into your view here. They tend to just like to listen to me read A Course in Miracles, I guess. They just like to be around me. Safety Pin Day, Golfers Day, and Salvation Army Founders Day. And out of Gurney's, I've got the purple top turnip. It's a purple top white globe turnip. And it says larger dependable yields. Fine grained roots get as big as softballs. Fall frost enhances flavor. 55 days to maturity. And it's a Brassica rapa. So that's your purple top turnip. A lot of people plant those for animal feed too, and for soil building. Just plant them in the ground. They make that big root, and then let them decompose in there, or pull them up and compost them. But just building soil health. Let them decompose right there where they're at if you can. Plow them up and let them just or churn them up, or anyway, lots of ways to do it. I don't like to plow or till as much as just break it up with like a spring tube. Just that'll kind of go through the soil. It leaves the stratas with the anaerobic bacteria deep in the soil and the aerobic bacteria closer to the surface, and it maintains that for soil structure and health. Okay, well let's sing our song and close. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. God's will for me must be complete to let his plan be understood. Be understood by those to whom he sends to me. They will see their function in my shining face, and hear God calling to them in my happy laugh. I am indeed essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. God's will for me is perfect happiness, and my joy must be complete to let his plan be understood. Be understood by those to whom he sends me. They will see their function in my shining face, and hear God calling to them in my happy laugh. I am indeed essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. That old Tom Turkey just put out a little gobble right at the perfect time where it was time to laugh. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Our word for peace is from the Finnish people of Finland. And there's actually several, I think 3 or 4 indigenous languages. It's known as the land of 1,000 lakes because of all the lakes and stuff and there's also the Baltic Sea on the coast and the Gulf of Bothnia and the Gulf of, what was that other Gulf? Gulf of Finland and the archipelago. So there's a lot of water around Finland and in Finland. And there's lots of different rivers. I didn't take the time to write any of those down. But anyway, for our Finnish people, their word for peace, if I'm pronouncing it right, Rauhaa, I'm going to pronounce that Rauhaa. Rauhaa? Let's see if that's right. If anybody knows for sure, be sure to text me. Like I said, my email's, it's in the description below. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Rauhaa.